Hey, welcome back guys. This video, I want to talk about something important that someone had brought to my attention and I was like, let me do a video about this. So as you know, I live in Fuerteventura, a little island in the Canary Islands of Spain, and I am the only African American living here. Now, I didn't say black because there are lots of black people. There are Africans, there are black people from South America, Dominican Republic, these places, but African Americans, no. So I want to talk about the pros and cons of this experience. Okay, so I hope you can hear me. I've been having problems with my mic, so I hope you can hear me. Now, when you go to a country, you notice several trends, okay? People tend to gravitate towards their own ethnic group. So I have friends that are Spanish, that are Italian, English, but people tend to gravitate towards what they know, what they're more comfortable with. So for example, I have Italian friends, but they also hang out with their own Italian friends and they speak Italian, and I don't speak Italian. I know a little bit, but, and I can understand a little bit, but that's it. Then you have Africans, and the Africans, they usually stay together. You have Moroccans, they usually stay together. Then you have Dominicans, they usually stay together, Colombians. So everybody stays together. And then it's like my partner, he's from Andalusia, and he has lots of friends from Andalusia, and they have, their own culture that's a little bit different than the Canary Islands. And of course, I have my Canary Island friends that have, well, friends that are Canarian. But what about me? I don't have anyone of my ethnic group. Now, I'm sure that there might be African Americans on other islands here, like Gran Canaria and Tenerife, because those are some of the more popular islands, but I don't know for sure. I met two African Americans when I was living in Madrid, and they also did not know any other African American people. So of course it was nice because we were able to share our stories together, but having someone of your own ethnic group, there are pros and there are cons. Let's talk about, well, let me change that back. There are pros and cons of not having someone of your own ethnic group, not having many friends from your own ethnic group. I will talk about the pros first. One is that you are unique, okay? If, for example, I'm the only African American, okay? I've met other Americans, maybe like one or two on this island, but they were not African American. So you bring something unique to the table because people have questions. People only know about my culture from what they see on TV. They have never seen an African American in person, and it's the opportunity to teach. Which brings me to the second pro, is that you're like an ambassador. You are like a representation of your group because there's no one else that's around that can help you. There's no one else that can explain, your culture. And so many of my friends have had so many questions about African American culture in general. And my partner, he says that he has learned so much by being with me because he had no idea. And he loves African American culture. He knows so much of my culture by things that he studied. It's like he could teach a class. The third pro, I'm gonna have to say, is you integrate faster. If your goal is to come to Spain, or any other country for that matter, learn the language, learn the culture, it's very important that you integrate to do this. But I have seen so many people from different communities, English community, German community, that they only stay together. Like in the north of the island, there's a village called Coralejo, and it's like nothing but English people. And I think there are a few Italians too. But you go, everyone speaks English. So if you're always around your own group, it's going to be very hard to integrate because there are people that have lived in Spain longer than I have been alive and still cannot speak Spanish. And I'm like, how do you survive? I just personally, I feel that if I'm gonna come to another country and only have friends of my group, I might as well just stay in my country, to be honest with you. I think it depends on what your goals are. And I assume that if you live in Spain or another foreign country, it's because you want to learn more about, you know, the history and the culture and make friends and have that real deep experience. However, having said all this brings me to the cons. There's only one that I can think of, and that is loneliness. Aww. Yeah, because I know I just said all that stuff about the pros, but there is a downside because you are kind of lonely. It's like, even though you have friends, you meet people, but no one understands your jokes, your humor, your expressions. I mean, my partner's from Andalusia and he sometimes doesn't understand the expressions of the Canarian people and vice versa. And they are in the same country. So imagine me from a foreign country, you know, I have my expressions and when I try and tell them what it is in Spanish, it loses its meaning and everyone's like, I mean, it doesn't make sense. You do feel that loneliness because you can't have that connection, you know what I mean? So I think, yeah, and sometimes I do feel that loneliness. I'm like, man, I would just like to meet, you know, other African Americans just to share our experiences, things like that. But I would have to say the pros far outweigh the cons. I think if you want to make friends from your own ethnic group, that's completely fine. I'm not saying, you know, avoid, you know, your own people altogether. But if your goal is also to integrate, you have to find that balance because it's very easy to fall into that trap because you feel comfortable and you're just like, I've got my friends, we speak English, we like the same things. I don't need to make friends that, you know, are different from me or things like that. It's, you know, we all tend to gravitate towards that and it's very difficult to get out of your comfort zone. Luckily for me, I was always in places where I was forced to integrate because there was no one like me. There was no one that spoke English. Everyone was Spanish. And I think that it has been a very rewarding experience for me. But like I said, there are some cons, like sometimes there is that loneliness because some people won't understand you, won't get you. Even if you try to explain it to them in their own language, sometimes it can be difficult. Or when they have jokes or expressions and they try and tell you, you may not understand. I can't tell you how many times my friends, they had some sort of joke and you know, for me, it was like, I took it literally and it wasn't supposed to be literal. And I'm like, I don't understand what this means. That's a problem. Until you start to integrate, you'll learn more and more and more. But there's always that part of you that's like, wow, I'm a little bit lonely. Anyway, so that's the pros and cons based on my experience. It may be different for you. If you are African American and you happen to be watching this video and you are in Fuerteventura, leave me a comment because I would love to talk to you. And that all being said, that's it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you have any questions, comments, again, please leave them in the comment section and I will see you in my next video. Ciao. Hasta luego.